Welcome back to the channel, everyone. And today's episode, it's a Freelander 2.
For the right time, gotta get this right. I'm scared to death. Scared of your eyes looking into my eyes. Scared that I'll back out and hold my breath. Wake up one morning and see your face. I can feel it coming back. These shivers are every day. Whoa, I say it's over. I get out of bed and leave. Yeah, just like that. I got the shivers. Whenever I would think of.
Okay, there's a bit of a long story behind this car, and the last episode was supposed to be the last one of this car, and then sold. I wanted to find out about the service history of the car before I sold it. It was due an MOT in the last episode. It went through an MOT with flying colours, passed, no advisories. Happy days, well chuffed for that. I had to do a little bit of research on the service history. Obviously I want to try and get as much money as possible for this car, so I needed to make sure I was up to date with the service and I list everything properly. Now, so I had to track down a few things, so I phoned the dealer, the Land Rover dealer closest to me, and I spoke to them. Really nice they are, to be fair. The customer service is second to none, and they basically said that all the service history is all online, which is good. After like 2013, 2014, you could access it yourself as well, because they upload it onto the computer on a database. That's for all Land Rover cars. So I had a look at what I had, and it was last serviced by a Land Rover specialist or Land Rover dealer at 48,000 miles, I think it was, in 2017. Up to that point, it was serviced every year, and it was doing an average of about 5,000 miles. So really low mileage for the car, being looked after. Then the car changed hands in 2017 to 2000. I think it was 2018. It changed hands, and then the car, up until that point, I must have been at the garage, and it had 55,000 miles on the clock, and it'd been serviced. Great, it wasn't by a dealer, but it'd been serviced. You can see that it's been done. Once this new owner had the car, it hadn't been touched since. From 2018 to now, there's no trace of any service history, and it's done. Should have had a service at 71,000 miles, because with these Freelanders, or it might be the same for the Evoque as well, the SD4 engine, the 2.2 is every year a service or 16,000 miles. The older versions, the older TD4 version, the lower brake horse, they could go longer. I think they could go a bit longer between services. Don't quote me on that, I'm not an expert, mind, but I'm just going off what I've read and things. Anyway, so after doing a bit of research, I have found out this car hasn't been serviced since 2018, which isn't good. I know COVID have hit. You don't know how long these cars are parked in an auction yard for, so I don't know when the accident was exactly. So it could have been sat around for a while, which is still not good for a diesel engine to be sat around. So let me get out the window a sec. Which leads me now onto why this video is going ahead. Now, the car is spotlessly clean. You've seen the video, it's immaculate. It drives lush. There's nothing wrong with the car. But when it comes to selling it, a 2014 car with 91,000 miles on the clock hasn't been serviced. And I know a lot of people will say the timing belt needs to be done. Now, when I've done a bit of research on them, this particular model, the SD4 model, the timing belt needs to be done at around 7 years old, which it is. It's 2014, and anything up to 70,000 to 101,000 miles. Now, I think the older one was up to 150,000 it could go before the timing belt needed doing. Now, obviously, that's quite low, but it's not a chain, it's a belt. So that's hence why you've got to change it. Plus, not only that, if this has got to be serviced every year, this hasn't, so it desperately needs an oil change, oil filter, fuel filter, and a pollen filter at least. So this brings me on to today's episode. This car is going to need some desperately new parts before I can sell it. Now, believe it or not, I'm going to be attempting a timing belt change on this car. Now, you've seen me do one previous, and that was on a Fiat 500. I've never done one before that. I've never done one on one of these in my life. I've watched 1 or 2 videos, I think there's 2 videos roughly out there that's very similar on how to do it. What I can make out with these engines is more or less the same engine as in the older versions. That's all they've done is put a bigger turbo on it to give it a bit more horsepower, hence why the car needs to be serviced regular. Because it's under more strain. If you are going to buy a Land Rover, make sure that they have got good service history with them. Everything else is fine, it's perfect. It runs perfect as it is. But I wouldn't be comfortable selling a car with 91,000 miles on the clock and hasn't had this timing belt done. Because guaranteed, if someone looks to buy the car, they will ask, has it been done? When was the last service? Do you know the usual questions? And I could say, I don't know. But now I can say, if once I do this, it's been done, it's safe, and it's going to have another good 100. It'll have, these engines will go for miles and miles and miles, thousands of miles, as long as you look after them. In this box here, we have a pile of parts. One is a timing belt kit. Yes, timing belt kit. We have all the pulleys and the belt itself in the box there. So that is what is going to be replaced. We have an air filter, because I can't wait to see the state of this engine. As one of my subscribers did point out, the air case or the air filter cover, it was loose anyway, so we need to have a look at that so we can replace the air filter. In this box here is the fuel filter, so we're going to be changing that. In here is the pollen filter, and obviously if you are changing things and going in there to change the timing belt, good practice is to change the water pump. So we've got a brand new water pump. All these are from a Land Rover specialist, so I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but they were pretty cheap. There you go, a Brit part. So the quality parts for Land Rover, so they're not no cheap parts, but they're not expensive either. And free screen wash, so it's pretty good. We've got oil filter washer there as well. It's for the sump, but we won't be doing the oil change just yet. We need to do the timing belt. So I've also got in there as well, I don't know if I showed it, is the locking tool as well, so we can do it all properly. So that is in today's episode. I hope you like what I'm doing, so if so, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, and also if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it. One more thing, I forgot to say how much this would have cost. I priced, the reason why I'm doing this and not having a dealer do it or a specialist do it, changing, when I phoned Land Rover and asked them about the service history, blah blah blah, they said yeah, it's overdue quite a lot of things. So to do the service, which I'm doing now, they quoted me £1,088, and that's without anything else extra that could happen. So hence why I'm doing this myself. Now if I took it to a garage, you're talking £400 to £500 at least, and there's not many garages that will tackle a timing belt for some reason on one of these. I might find out why sooner than later, but that's another reason why I'm doing this, is because you know yourselves, this channel is all about trying to save money. So hopefully this will help someone and give them the confidence to do this themselves and save a couple of quid, because I'm not being funny, £1,088 plus whatever else is absolutely ridiculous. So like I said, I hope this helps someone else out. Anyway, let's get on with it. There she is, all nice and clean. Someone did point out, like I just stated, this was loose, and quite rightly, well done. That isn't sitting properly, so that's not a good sign. So whoever done this didn't fit things properly. Looks like that's the wrong screw for a start, so this is going to be fun. Like I said, it's pretty clean under here. It's been well looked after. There is a few clips missing mine, so know whether this has been done before. There's one missing there. Because I know on this particular engine, see if I can shed some light for you, what I can make out is the starter motor's got to come out for you to put the lock-in pins into the gearbox, just down the flywheel to stop it from moving. And we've also got to put a pin in the top pulley as well, or cam. So it's quite a lot to do. Space isn't going to be the best. This is going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy doing this, but I'm going to take my time. And this might be spread over 2 days because it's going to take a while. And just see how we get on. Okay, first things first, I'm going to take this air box off, just so it's out the way. As you can plainly see, that's quite a dirty filter. So definitely, it's definitely due service. Okay, what that does now, it gives me excellent access to the starter motor, which is down there. So that frees up a lot of space. For anyone who is interested, just there, let me just show you, see if I can zoom in for you. It is a Ford. That is what you buy in from a Land Rover dealer. Ew. Look at this. I don't know whether you can see this, guys. That's the top of the timing belt. Someone has definitely been in here. And it looks like it's, I don't know what, I don't think that looks original. So let me zoom back out for you guys. Just bear with me. Someone has been in here that hasn't put everything back properly for a start, or they've just had a look. That is the belt there. Now, it looks fairly, well, it looks like it has been looked at some point. What annoys me is that people don't put things back. Really pisses me off. Why don't they put the bolt's back. So ultimately, if I was going to sell this car, you could say that's been done, but it might not be. It doesn't look like the original belt, but I'm not going to take the risk anyway. So at least I could state and date when it was done. So I'll just make sure it's done properly, to the best that I can do it anyway. So that's all I can do now, is start undoing a few clips to release these pipes that's holding the cover on, and then go underneath and take the front wheel off. Oh my god, I've dirtied the car already, look at that. Oh, that's not good. It must be full of oil already. I always get dirty. I don't know what it is, I get filthy. Okay, let's get a cloth and wipe all that off. This is why I hate garages, because they never seem to put anything back properly. It's all plastic loose everywhere. It's not good, like. I was quite worried about the way I was doing stuff, but now after seeing how the work, how shoddy some people's work is, then I ain't got nothing to worry about. It is held on underneath with the bumper, so you need to undo that as well for the cover. Right, there's the case. We've got to take this pulley off, well, not the pulley, and slacken this belt off. We've also got to take the bottom and the tray off as well. There. So I'll take that off first and then go from there. Okay, looking at the top, whether you can see, right, this is loose anyway, this cover, but it looks like there's only one bolt holding it on. And you can see that just there. So if I undo that now, this top bit should come off and then leave me the bottom bit. And then we can start. I'll slacken off that the auxiliary belt, and then we'll start looking at taking our starter motor out and then locking it in place then. So hopefully it should go to plan. So let's get a spanner on there. There was one bolt holding it down underneath, which I accessed from under the bottom bit. So that's out. So this should come off. Okay, now with that covered off, can actually get to the top pulley. So what we need to do is rotate the engine so it's cylinder 1 is top dead center, and stick a pin through there into the cylinder head, and it'll lock into place. And then we can take the battery off, disconnect the battery, and then work on taking the starter motor out, and then we can lock the gearbox into place. So that's where we're at. Going along quite smoothly. It's not too bad. I gotta be honest, I think the Fiat 500 was a lot worse than this, because we had to deal with the engine mounts. On this one, it's out the way, you don't have to touch it. The design is quite good. So once we get this engine rotated, I think I might have to order some of these bolts, because they're missing. So whoever's taking this apart hasn't put it back together properly, which is a bit crappy. I'll see if I got any in my spares, just to see if it'll bolt together properly, and go from there. Okay, we're ready to rotate this engine, but I'll have to loosen off that pulley first so I can take this off. Okay, that's out the way. Nothing wrong with that, that looks pretty new, so I'm going to leave that on there. Oh, time for the first part of the lock-in stage. I'll have to find the link for this and I'll put it in my description. I think the trouble with this was it was like nearly 40 quid, I think it was. So not cheap. And every time you're doing a timing belt, you no, it costs a fortune. The one for the Fiat was 20 quid. But you've got to do these things, you've got to have the tools. So this is the pin that goes in the top. Goes through there and into the cylinder head and locks the top into place. Now, like I said, we need to rotate the engine to get that to go through, and we should be good to go then, and taking that starter motor out. So that's what we're doing next. Let's try and rotate this engine. Try that. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that took absolutely ages to get that in there. See if I can show you so you can see it. There's not much on. I have to flip the phone around a sec, 2 seconds, so I can get that in there. That's in all the way. Right, what I had to do is I use this to locate the hole, because it's taken me ages to try and get that pin in, and it was really tight. So what I done is I managed to use a smaller pin to locate the hole. Once I knew exactly where the right position was, I'll show you where that is on the pulley as well. There. Okay. Once I've located that, that's in there perfectly. What I had to do then is, because obviously I can't turn the bottom pulley and try and get that pin in the same time, so I put a spanner on the end of that, on the end of this, whilst holding the pin, and just gently turning that, and the pin went in. So that's how, well, it's up to you how you do it, but that's how I managed to get that in there. That is not easy. would have been ideal to be here so you could actually see what you're doing. It's more feel, and because it's so precise and so tight, you know, there's no movement in that now. That's in there solid. Because everything's so precise, it's really awkward to get that pin in. It's in. But like I said, I'm not going to lie to you, that was really difficult. Only to line it up. You know, that's the difficult part. Patience. Okay, now that's locked in there. What we need to do now is have 5 minutes. I need 5 minutes now to collect my thoughts a minute, because I was really cheesed off with that. Really had enough. So where we can go now is disconnect the battery. Disconnect the battery, and then down here is the starter motor. We'll take that out, and we put the other part of the locking mechanism in place, and hopefully we can start taking this timing belt off. Okay, I don't think I'll be able to show you this starter motor. It's so deep into the engine. It'll be really difficult. So I'm just going to crack on and try and get it out. And I'll cut back in once that is done. Sorry for everyone who does really want to watch and see this, but some things, as you can appreciate, you just cannot see. I can barely get my hands down there myself. It'll be really awkward, and trying to film at the same time is just not going to happen. That was bloody difficult to get out of there. Really tight for space. Really tight. I'm so used to working with the front end off of a car. You had two 13 bolts going through there and one going for the back. I think it might have been the other way around. I knew one was going for the back anyway. Let's have a look. Yeah, that was going. You had yeah, that was the back. That was the other side, and that was at the other side as well. Really awkward. Anyway, it's off now. All are just to put the locking tool in place. Crazy. There's also a plastic bit that covers the gearbox. I've already undone the two bolts for that as well. One there and one in there, I think it was, but it was two somewhere. They're off, so you gotta be careful not to snap that. It's definitely two holding in place, and that's off. Just wanted to cut in and show you this bit there. I don't know if you can see that. That pin is going through there into the bell housing. And the next part then is this here, goes in there as well, bolts onto the side where the starter motor was, and it holds it all in place, and then the engine top and bottom is locked in place. That was hard to get in, only because you've got to try and get that through there and move the pulley at the bottom. So it is quite difficult, but you can do it lying down underneath the engine and one hand feeding that through and one hand just tweaking it slightly. That's in. So I'll cut back in once that bit is in, and we'll start marking up the belt. Believe it or not, guys, that took some bloody doing. See if I can get in there for you. That's all locked in place. You've got the bar that goes across into the flywheel, and you've got this there and the bolts into where the starter motor aperture was, and it bolted in where it was positioned in there. So that's all in place. That locks the flywheel as well. So that is all in. Should look like that, if that's any help to you. And then you've got the bar then that sits like that. So now that's all locked up, there shouldn't be any more movement in this, so we should be able to undo this now, and hopefully we can see the timing belt. Let's see if we can undo this bottom pulley. Whoa, that's tight. That is tight. It's getting bloody tight then, or easier to come out. That's not good. Thread lock on it. It's probably one of the reasons why it wouldn't come out the best. What a bloody hard bolt to get out that was. Okay, now we've done that, we can access the bolt to the bottom, and obviously the cam sensor there. We'll just remove that out the way, data out of the way, and hopefully this can come out the way. We have good access now to the water pump there, the bottom. And what I didn't do the last time is I didn't, on the Fiat 500, I didn't mark the top and bottom with a bit of Tipex. So if I do that this time and put the markings on the new belt, it'll be easier to put back on, and I know exactly it's in the right position when I count the teeth. Something that obviously you need to learn as you go along, so that's something I've learned now from the previous. So what I'm going to do first is take the tension off that belt. Once I've marked it up, the tension is up there. see that? There. Not one there. So, but before we take the water pump apart, obviously I need to drain the water out. There should be a drain plug in the front of the radiator somewhere. I'll have a look for that in 5 minutes. Let's mark this belt up first. So what I've done, I've marked the tooth on there. Now I'll count all the way around and do the same on the top, and they should be the same distance on a new one in theory. Okay, if you look at that, I know it's really difficult to see. There, top and bottom. There, so that belt now is ready to come off. And I also know exactly where to mark it. So hopefully this will go to plan. I'm gonna have a look now to see where I can drain this water from. I just wanted to show you this. On the Freelander 2 there is a drain plug on the radiator, so I can show you. This is on the passenger side. As you can see, there's a tap. Now I've got a little bit of pipe left over from the old mini project here. What you're going to do is that's going to go on the end of that there. And then I'm just going to turn that tap and out it should come into a bucket, and that is how you drain the fluid, the coolant out of a Freelander 2. I thought that I might show you that because not a lot of people show that side of it. So it took me a while to find the tap, but it's at the bottom of the radiator. You can't get to it, it's nothing on that side because the intercooler's in the way. And you can't see nothing, but like I said, under there, and I'll show you. For point of reference, and like I said, this is a right-hand drive car. The tap for the radiator is on this side, just under there. So I'll get a container under there now and start draining the fluid. Okay, this might happen to you. That tap is blocked. It's not coming out, so I might just stick something in there now to see if I can free whatever it is. It's probably gunk in the bottom of the radiator. If not, if that's not going to work, then we're going to have to take a pipe off somewhere else and just try and drain as much fluid out as possible. But I just wanted to try and do it the correct way and with the least amount of mess, but looks like it's not going to work that way. So I'll just try and stick something in there now and hopefully go for there. Okay, the only other option I had really, because that didn't work, was to take it off by the thermostat and drain it into a bucket down there. So that is what I've done, is draining in there now. So I can go ahead now and start doing the water pump. Knowing most of the fluid is drained out, I'm not going to get everything, but it's better than nothing. And I have got a new antifreeze to put in there. But we can safely try and remove that water pump now and take the tension off that belt. I've also got to undo this. Get this one out. There you have it. Belt out, tensioner, pulley, and idler pulley, I think, or just a pulley. So we've got a new one of them, and a new belt. Like I said, we've got the markings on the belt for the teeth. That's the top, because I marked it more on the top there. So that's all I got to do. Count the teeth and mark the new belt. But before we do that, let's get this water pump replaced. Looks like these are 11mm bolts. And there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts. That noise is what's left in the water in the engine coming out. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave that drain out nice and controlled before I take that off, otherwise it's just going to go boosh everywhere. So I'm just going to wait now until that stops and then take out the rest. Well, at least that's out. I'll just leave that drain out now. So there's the water pump. Looks fine. But like, if you're doing something, I guess it's better safe than sorry, and just do it anyway. I've had another look at this, whether I'm wrong or not, but if you look underneath there, that to me looks like a drain. So you could probably have drained the fluid from there before before taking it off to save the mess. But you live and learn. I would have thought that's how you'd drain it all. It's the same on the new one as well. The new one's here. So I'm assuming, look at like there's like a drain in there, so you could drain the fluid or the coolant before actually taking it off. Never mind. Okay, we got a new gasket and water pump. And the instructions. Have a quick look at this. Clean that up and then start putting it back together. Because I think that's all of the parts needed to take off. We just got to put all the new parts back on. Okay, I've just had a quick read of them instructions, and it does state if it comes supplied with a gasket, do not use sealant. So I'm not going to be using the sealant, and I'm just going to fit that back in place, get a couple of bolts in, and then we're going to torque it up. I've cleaned that up. I have got my sheet of paper where I've done my research on what torque settings for things. and I have bought a smaller torque wrench because the one I had was too big, if you remember, going back on the other Mini, I think it was, the Mini Cooper. I snapped some bolts with the wrong torque setting, so it's very important you get the right one, and that was a nightmare, but we managed to sort that. That was a good video, that was, actually. Anyway, back to this. Let's get this water pump back in now. Crucial bit now, obviously trying to make sure that all the bolts go in properly. See, this gasket needs to be in line. What I'll do, I'll just make sure every one of them is in line. I'm just going to do all these up and finger tight, and then go around with the torque wrench. Okay, back 2 seconds. I bought this from my local tool station, 5 to 25 Newton meters. So nice little carry case, and there you have it. Ideal for these small torque settings. Instruction guide there. So I'm just going to set it to what we need to and go from there. Okay, that's all done. There's my little sheet, and the water pump is 17 Newton meters. So that is set to 17. Hopefully this doesn't snap anything, and hopefully it should click. So fingers crossed. I'm just going around tightening them up gradually. The clicks are really quiet on this, mind. I'm just going around each one. I haven't clicked yet. It's really quiet. You can hardly hear the clicking when you using the ratchet. I think I'm going to try it on something else so I can know what it feels like to be clicking, and then I can carry on with this because I'm scared this is going to snap. There you go. There's 17. Panicking a bit, guys. I thought, oh, that's not going to work. Okay. Okay. Water pump's all on, all torqued up to the right settings. That was a twitchy arse moment because I was so scared they're going to snap, but it was all fine, worked fine. Bit quiet, that's the only thing I would say about that tool, bit quiet. Okay, now we can start putting the new tensioners back in and pulleys. Okay, here's our new pulley. It's the tensioner and the pulley. So let's slap that in first, tension that up. I have got timing idler bearing, 60 Newton meters, so it's quite big, so we're gonna have to get the other torque wrench out for that. So let's get that in. This is awkward because I can't bloody see a thing. Okay, that's in, but I'll get my other torque wrench now and tighten that one up. I just want to show you this quickly. That's there now, lined up. That's what I'm going to do, is put the tension on it, and it's lined up there more or less. Oh shit. So hopefully that will go back nicely. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that was absolutely solid to do, only because even with the slack off the tensioner, that was really tight to get on. So it's all done up now, it's all tensioned. That bar up there lines up. Well, I want to show you, let's see if I can show you. See that? They line up together. The markings, if you see the old ones, there's the new markings, so that lines up perfectly. I'll just show you the top. I know it's a bit smudged, but it does line up perfectly, and it's all tensioned up and it's all torqued up as well. So I think what we do now is put the case back on, we turn it over, and hopefully it should stay in that position, as in we take the pins out, the locking mechanism, take it all back out, turn it over a couple of times, and hopefully it should be fine. And we put the pins back in, and that should lock it back in place, and if it doesn't, then we've screwed up something. So that is what we're going to do next. So I'm just going to start putting all this back together now. That is 70 Newton meters, and that is 7. The water pump was 17, the bearing was 60, and the timing tensioner was 25. So I've done all that, so that's all done. Okay, I'm gonna have 5 minutes now, and then I'm gonna release the locking mechanism, turn this engine, and hopefully it should go in the right position. Okay, all the locking components are out. There's nothing holding that in place. It's out from down there, so it's just a case now. I'm hoping I've done everything right. is rotating this engine and seeing if it all lines back up. What I'm going to do now is line that back up and see if all the pins go back in. I wanted to show you this quickly. It's all locked in, and then the one in the gearbox locked in. After rotating it, it's locked there. I've checked again, that's in position, everything's good. So I'm just going to put it all back together in a minute, and once that's done I'll get back to you. Okay, everything is back on now. That needs to be back on down here. The belt is all back on, tensioned up, the auxiliary belt. That's done up and torqued up to the right settings. Cam sensors in. So what I gotta do now is just put all these fittings back on. The cover at the top, and put the wheel back on. We've got to put the cover on the top there and fill it up with coolant. As you can see, there's no coolant in there, so we're gonna have to put some coolant in here and hopefully get it running. Okay, what have we got left to do to finish off this timing belt change? Everything is buttoned up underneath, it's all done up, all the bolts are on, the auxiliary belt's on. I've refitted that the air pipe, but there, that's all on, and I've also rechecked that pulley tensioner. That's all in place. We've got the cover to put on the arch liner. But the next stage now, obviously I'm sorry if the light's shining down, but just in there we've got to put the starter motor back in. So hopefully we can get that in, because that was really difficult to get out, so that's gonna be a bloody nightmare. Let's get that back in and go from there. Right, that's down there ready, but what we need to put in is this little plastic shield. All the bolts here. Shit. Ah, it's gonna be one of these days. I've managed to pick them all back up. I got them all back. Oh my god, what an idiot. Right, I'm just going to crawl underneath now and put all the starter motor back, and I'll catch you when I've done that. There's no point, you can't see nothing. It's literally, there is no room down there, guys. So I'm just going to slap that back in. Okay, I just wanted to show you. It took some bloody doing. It's very heavy anyway. I'll try and hold it with one hand and try and position it and put the bolts through at the same time. So that's in now. As you can see, all the wires are on it, all back on, covered up, just the way they were. So we've got the cover to put on this. Now fill it up with water. I have got some new bolts as well, because if you remember, someone had taken the old ones and didn't put them back in. So we've got some new bolts just to put the casing on so it looks tidier and there's no rattles. If you look, see, there should be bolts going through this, and there was nothing. So we're just going to start putting the cover back on, and then like I said, water, put the airbox on. I'm not going to put the tray on top, only because we've got to do a service on this, and I don't want to be taking things back off. So we're nearly close to running this. I want to get this running in this episode, so you would have had the old timing belt change all in one episode. So it's a Buster episode full, so I hope you're enjoying the content. Anyway, let's get the cover on there. All this was loose. That's all in solid now with the right bolts. This was all loose, so I think I got a bolt for that. I don't understand how hard that was. If you had bolts left over, there's something wrong. Perfect. Solid. Battery's all on. I've just temporarily put the airbox back on, only because we've got to do an oil change on it, and I don't want to be taking off the cover to get to this again. So that's why I've left it like that. We've also got to do this air filter, but I wanted to plug everything in to make sure there's no errors when we start it up. If you look, let me get a torch, guys. If you look now, there's a bolt in there holding that all on. That's all secure. So all the correct bolts have been put back in there, the replacements. So that's all secure. I don't understand why they didn't put them back in to start with. It weren't exactly hard. Everything is all plumbed back in. The only thing we haven't done is put coolant in, which I'm going to do now. And we're going to go for a start up. I'm just going to leave that go down a little minute, and then we'll go for a start up. I haven't started it up yet, but if you listen very carefully, you can hear it bleeding itself. So I'm just gonna, I've nearly put all that in so far. and it's still taking it, so I'm not going to start it up until it stopped letting the air through. So I'll get back to you as soon as you stop that, and then we can go for a start up. Okay, it's literally taking all that water, so I might have to go and get some more now. It's still bleeding away, which is good. But we're gonna go for a start up now, and I gotta be honest, I am shitting myself, but I'm hoping everything should have gone to plan. Everything's tensioned up. We've checked the timing, it's all in time. So the pins went back in, not a problem. It's all buttoned up. Starter motor's in. So I have followed everything. I've put all the torque settings on everything, so everything should be right. I know the jack is still here. But I don't want to lower the car down just yet. Because we've got to do an oil change on it. Let's go and get the keys, guys. Right, what I'll do, let's go and get the keys in a minute. I won't start it up just yet. Make sure the heaters are on so you can bleed. I'm going to set you up. Here, so you can hear it starting, guys. Either that or hear it crashing to bits. There goes nothing. Have I done it again? Hopefully we have done the timing belt. Well, we must have, it's running. So that's the second time I've done a timing belt. I hope you found this video informative. Okay, I can't believe it's purring like a kitten, guys. Timing belt has been done. Yet another timing belt. I thought I'd never do a timing belt. I gotta be honest, that was a lot easier, believe it or not, than the Fiat 500. There was two main problems that I had, I think, that I struggled on, and I was trying to get the locking pins in and getting that starter motor out. That's it really, the rest of it was straightforward. So I have just saved myself over £1,000 by doing the timing belt myself. So hopefully, if you follow this with a bit of luck, then you might be able to do it. I'm not saying to copy me, I might have done things wrong, but it's running alright at the moment. So what's next for the car? We've got to do an oil change, fuel filter, air filter, pollen filter, done. So that's next. That will be coming in a video very soon. I hope you like the content I've brought you. I hope you like the video. Give it a thumbs up. Comment below what you think and what I've done. If I've done anything wrong, I would like you to tell me. And like I said, hopefully now, once this car is done, out the door, we can look for another project. I've still got the Fiat 500 2019. Still can't get rid of it. So things are just not selling at the moment for me. But I'm not bothered. It'll stay here until I get what I need for it. Anyway, I'm just going to carry on now, bleeding this, and then we can crack on with the oil and oil change. Take care guys, and I will see you in the next one.